Hi, I'm Quincy, and today I am playing Orwell. And Orwell is a story-based game. It's sort of a detective game. You're trying to find out who's doing these terrorist bombings. And you can think of it as like a detective game if the detective worked for the NSA or was some other form of electronic secret police. And this is me, and so the idea is that, and I think it looks about as close to me. I don't have a beard, but otherwise I am heading towards that sort of look. And I've completed the entire game, so what I'm going to do is start again from the beginning. I could jump into any bit I want, but I'm going to start from the beginning because I don't want to spoil any of it. It's a game which is very story based, and the story progresses through the various episodes or days of your job, and I don't want to make a video where I'm giving you spoilers. So the conceit is that the government has set up the Orwell program. I'm just going to quickly skip through this, and this is your supervisor, your boss essentially, and your job is to sift through information that is on the internet or that the security services have, or later on you might be breaking into people's computers to see what's on their computers, or you may be listening into their phone calls or their chat messages, and to try and work out what's going on. So the first thing you do is you have to identify your target, which at the moment is unknown, and then you build up sort of web of relationships and information about those targets. And the way you do that is you read basically text. There's no voiceovers or anything like that. So you scan through. This is the story about the bomb. Okay, so there's a story there about the bomb. What else is there? Okay. And so we don't really know anything about this person, so we know it's a blue-haired person. Okay, and then there's the last story I hadn't looked at. We'll come back to that later. So and then how you play the game essentially is you take information from here that's highlighted and you drag it over. So this bit is highlighted, so you drag it over here and it uploads onto the system. And you can drag the photo across and it uploads onto the system. Okay, and that's essentially it. You read the text, you find it tells you what the important bits are because they're highlighted, and you just drag them across. And that's largely the game. And as you drag things across, it opens up other possibilities. So it finds other related documents related to the things you've dragged across. And sometimes there's actually links in the documents, as you saw in the newspaper. See, so is this woman a terrorist? New thing. And so you can, as you can see, there's a bunch of new things. So you just drag them across, and they get updated onto her profile. She was right there before the explosion, and we know that she assaulted a police officer, and she's an artist. So we upload that, and we'll say artist under occupation, and so on. And if this seems to you like it's leading you quite a lot, that's exactly the case. It is very much, as you can see, it says, well, you haven't finished this document. This is what this means. If I had gone into something and gone back out, see, it says this to say there's information in there that you haven't dragged across. At some points, you have to decide what information you want to drag across, because some of it's not relevant, and you don't necessarily want to drag all the irrelevant information, or some of it may be wrong. The system doesn't know the difference between if you're joking about what your address is and what your real address is, so you don't want to drag the obviously joke address across. But so far so linear, but there are actually decision points. In each episode there are various places where there's information which is, so you can let's go through the things. So you have to actually go through and check things. So we know that she's in a relationship. Oh, that's her chat account. So we got that. So now we can get chat things. Yes. Yeah, so here, so a colourful inhabitant of Wonderland right behind the rainbow. If I drag that across, it would say lives in Wonderland right behind the rainbow. That's obviously not true, so I don't drag that across. And that's how it works. Forgotten businessman's daughter. And see, now I can listen into her chat session. So you're very much a sort of voyeur, looking in from you're quite safe, and you're sort of investigating these people, building up a list of relationships and details about them, and then you're sort of responsible, I guess, directly or indirectly, depending on the way you think of these things, for what happens to them. So she's lifted a platinum card. I don't know if that's really relevant. Yeah, because she didn't actually steal it. It looks like that person doesn't mind. Probably her partner or boyfriend or whatever it is. Has an attorney, Joseph Langley. That's probably important. So yeah, there are occasionally. So if we go back here, we can now see we started building up these relationships, and we can start looking at what we know about Joseph Langley and so on. Yeah, there are these decision points. Occasionally you come across the bits that are highlighted in yellow rather than blue, and that means that there's two or more contradictory bits of information, and you have to decide which bit is true. Like, for instance, is this person currently at this location, or is this person currently at this other location? And which is their real address? And you have to basically go through all the documents, and there'll be some clues somewhere in the documents to find what this person's real address is, and that could be very important, because you could be sending the police to go and arrest them, and you don't want them to go to the wrong address, and the story will divert or move in different ways depending on what you choose at that point. If the police go to the wrong address, maybe that person gets away. If they go to the right address, then maybe they'll get arrested, and if they're arrested, you might get further information. It does seem to make a difference what you choose. The basic story plays out, but some of the minor things, like what happens to particular characters and so on, what options you're given at the very end, I get the impression that they change, but most of the time it's fairly linear. You have to find various bits of information before you can move on. It's obviously gated. So here we go. Was the case being closed due to lack of evidence, or was it closed because she was very rich and her family got her off? So which do you think it was? Lack of evidence or this? And which way you do will depend what might happen later. So we'll say this, because I actually picked the other one the last time. So we'll see if something slightly different happens. And that there was actually not enough evidence. And obviously I've missed something, because something important I haven't dragged across yet, and so I have to go find it. And then when you find it, you start moving again. So is it this bit? Yes, it does. So now another document. So as you can see, it's pretty heavily gated. Yeah, so the story is okay. I mean, it's a decent story. This mechanic of dragging things across, it does feel like you're very much being led. You do, as I said, you do have a couple of decision points each day that are important, but the story will progress towards the end. Certain things are going to happen. It's just a matter of what you find out about people and what happens to those people. There's a lot of hand holding. It reminds me a lot of those Telltale games. I'm thinking like The Walking Dead, where there's a bit of story, but it's very much hand holding you. It tries to give you the impression that you're making a lot of important choices about how the story plays out. But I mean, that's actually doing that is so hard in a computer game, and often doesn't work on anything of decent size. So they're actually just giving you the impression that you've got that, but it isn't there. But the story is interesting. It's obviously very topical about surveillance states and how they run, and what sort of implications, or what sort of happens to those people who are actually doing it, because you're one of these people. Who knows where you are, safely, presumably, maybe in a completely different other country, or certainly nowhere nearby, judging these people. And how do you do it? Do you try and work out who they are and empathize with them, or you just bam the facts, even if the facts may not be exactly, may not give a true impression. So that's it. It's sort of basically point and click. As you can see, this one's got 3 screens, so there's possibly 3 lots of information. So there's a job offer for Chief Operating Officer. And I think if we go, there's Cassandra. She's junior COO. So we know who her parents are now. Presumably that'll lead to some more information. Junior COO. She did quit a dull job, that's right. And we've got a new. Yep. And so on. So that's it. As I said, the story is interesting. Occasionally, a couple of times, you have to do some digging to find out particular things, or you'll often find there's something a little surprising, and that later on becomes important. I remember going through lists of things and going, oh, that's a bit, I recognize that name, and it became important later on. And it's a well-constructed story. You are running through their story though. It's an interesting mechanic. I will give this game the benefit of the doubt. If you're into story games, it's an interesting one. I like the art style, the way he's got these sort of polygonal pictures. But if you're not so much into story games, then finding you're doing a lot of reading. The game is basically reading and dragging things across, and then a couple of decisions. It's quite quick. Each day takes about half an hour, and you're done. At a normal pace, maybe if you're being really completist, it probably still take well under an hour, maybe 45 minutes to read every single word and think about it. So it's quite quick. An interesting story. If you see it, if you're interested in story games, worth a look. If you're not interested in story games, this is not the game to change your mind. Because as I said, it still leads you quite by the hand. Oh, jobs. There's something on. Oh, right. So, yes, she retired. So drag, and now another document's found because I've cleared that gate. I can move on to the next one. And so now we've got the timeline. Yeah, and later on you get to basically dig around people's computers, and it's it's good. I enjoyed playing it. It's not. Yeah, it's a decent game. It's a decent, good story game. And let's leave it at that. You've seen how it plays. You've probably just watching this very little beginning bit. I think got a very good idea how the game mechanics work. So it comes down to the story, which is okay. Maybe a few silly little things in it here and there, but generally it's okay. It's a good game. Having played it through, I'm not going to play it again. So I played it for three and a bit hours, and that's it. 3 hours and done. But I certainly enjoyed playing it for those 3 hours. So that is Orwell. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.